have returned. Welcome back to my channel. It is I, Oscuro. Today I would like to show you guys my personal spellbook. For those of you that don't know, I am a caster of darkness, so this video will revolve mostly around dark beasties, spells, and artifacts. Now I must warn you, I run a pretty large spellbook. I know most casters run about 40 pages in their competitive spellbooks, but for me I personally run about around 70 pages. Personally, I like having options when I'm in a match. I have a lot of very strong beasties that do cost a lot of aura, but I also have a lot of beasties that cost very little aura, so you know, I've got a great beginning game and I've got a great end game. And based off of my intro, you guys probably know which beasties are going to be shown in this video. Let's begin, shall we? I have many spellbooks, all of different aura types. I like to keep them all in this enchanted chest so nobody can access them, except for me. Obviously, my strongest spellbook is a dark spellbook, so that's what we're going to be going over today. Now, behold, I will unlock the enchanted box with my magic powers. Alright, here we go. Alright. Magic. Go! There we go. And behold my spellbooks. And behold again my spellbook. So here it is. This is my spellbook. I bought this at the Enchanted Walmart. And, you know, I have no regrets. This thing is really helpful. And I'll give you a little tour of what I've got going on here. I've got this little secret compartment. And this is where I keep damage counters, effect counters, and I've also got a Jersey Devil coin in here and a dice. Yes, I collect some Pokemon cards. You can tell by the dice and damage counters that I have. But we're talking about Metazoo today, like we do all the time. So getting into the good stuff, we're going to open this little door right here. And I've got this drawer. So here I keep my pages. We're not going to be talking about this one. As you can see, I've got a little rule book here. I divide some pages that I keep on the side just in case, and this is my actual spellbook. And yes, I have Loveland Frogman pages. Just because, you know, yeah, I'm a dark caster, but you gotta love the Frogman. Come on, guys. And we got a Blood Ruby right there, so it works. Alrighty, so I'm going to divide these into auras. I'm going to divide them into spells, artifacts, potions, and beasties for you guys. So we'll go over each one by one. We're going to start off with the basic stuff. Obviously, we're going to need dark auras for this. I use a lot of aura in my spellbook. And as you can see, I got a lot of pages in it. Counted, it's about 70, and I'm rocking 20 auras. Most people usually go for 15 at the maximum, but because most of my beasties are very aura heavy, I like to have a lot of aura in here so I can build up each turn. And I think as we go through my spellbook, you're going to see why I like to keep a lot of aura. Next up, I'm going to show you guys my spells, my potions and artifacts. So, we've got a lightning in a bottle here. I've got 5 of them. These are great. In my opinion, people who use lightning spellbooks do not need these because most of those beasties come in with fleet. My beasties, I think I have maybe 2 that have fleet on them. So these are very useful for me, especially when I bring out some of those 1 aura cost beasties. So we've got 5 lightning in a bottles. Gotta have a Blood Ruby. These are very helpful, especially if you get them first game, and something that really boosts my odds of winning a match is having both of my Blood Rubies out, or drawing both of them in the very beginning, and especially if I can also draw the Chaos Crystal. I'd love to have more of these, but it's also just 1 per spellbook for the Chaos Crystal, and you can have 2 per spellbook for your Blood Rubies, so if you can throw all, and they're also 0 aura costs, so if you can throw all 3 of these out on your first turn, you're already gonna have you're gonna have, oh, wait, let me do math real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're gonna have 7 aura already. And in my case, if I was able to do that, I'd be able to throw out some pretty heavy beasties right off the bat. Alright, next we're gonna go to the spells. So here, I'm rocking a Bloodlust. This is a spell that you can equip to a beastie, and yeah, you can only target dark beasties with this spell. But basically, it'll double your damage that you do with that beastie, but you can only attack the closest opposing page. So, say if I put this down on a beastie right here, the closest opposing page on this side would probably be this, card right here. So I would have to attack that one. It works very well. It's also only an aura cost of 1, and if the other caster doesn't have any beasties on the field, then I can do double damage to them with one of my beasties. So I put 2 of these in my spellbook. It's 2 per spellbook. And just so you guys know, I usually just follow this straight up. I never have less than what it says on the card per spellbook. So next up, we've got Sinister Shadows. These make my deck amazing. I have a lot of 1 aura cost beasties, and this can only be used on 1 aura cost beasties. And what it does is it duplicates that beastie completely. So it'll make a token beastie with the same name, same traits, same attacks, same effects, everything. So I love using this on a certain card that I will show you when we get to the beasties, right here. So I rock 4 of these. And next up, Death Beam. There's a new card coming out in Wilderness that's basically a Death Beam, but if I decide to use that, then I wouldn't be able to use my Sinister Shadows, which are honestly some of my very heavy hitters. So I think I'm just going to stick with this setup that I've got right here, but I like to have 4 different spell beams. And finally, I like to end off with a backup spell, Zombie Apocalypse. Now, if I'm losing real bad, I throw this out. It does cost 5 aura, but I throw this out, everyone's beastie becomes a zombie. A zombie token with 10 aura, no, 10 aura, look, 10 life points and 10 attack. So what I like to do is I'll throw this out, I'll destroy every beastie, basically making them a zombie, and then I'll throw out something with Fleet, or I'll use a lightning in a bottle, and I'll be able to knock out at least one of those beasties. So those are my spells. All of them are dark, right? Yeah, all of them are dark spells. And next up, we're going to be moving to regular spells, or should I say neutral spells. So we're going to start off with the basic few cards that every caster should have in their spellbook. Bookmark. Every caster should have at least 2 bookmarks. No questions asked. Bookmark 2 pages. Bookmark means draw 2 pages from the top of your spellbook, so you always want to have 2 of these. I like to have different varieties. I like to use indexes. I know some people don't, but I think they're very good for when you're in a bit of a pickle. So you can't play any other pages during your turn other than aura pages, but you get to draw any beastie you want. So I'll let you guys know once we get to the beasties why these are very helpful for me too. There's 2 of those. New Beginnings. Also a card that every caster should have in their book. Each caster puts their hand back into their spellbook, shuffles, and then draws 7 new cards. Now the reason this card is so good is because, well, when I'm playing against people, they'll draw their hand at the very beginning of the game, and I'll usually end up with the New Beginnings every once in a while. But I'll see a smirk on their face, and they'll be like, I got some really good pages. And then I'll be like, oh, not for long. So this is very helpful, especially if your opposing caster has a smirk on their face and saying they've got a great hand. So next up, Nightfall. This spell was obtainable in the Nightfall spellbook, and because Nightfall heavily revolved around dark beasties, this card really helps my deck, which is consistent of dark beasties. All beasties attack from the Metazoo Nightfall set deal 25 plus damage this turn. It is considered nighttime during this turn. So if I'm playing during the day, this will give me a 1 nighttime turn if I don't have the Terra out. I actually don't have a nighttime Terra in my spellbook just because half of all time is nighttime, so I don't really need it, in my opinion. But if I'm going to a tournament during the daytime, then I'll probably bring one, add one to my spellbook. But this is really helpful. I usually use this as a finisher. If the game's getting pretty tight, and all of my beasties are out, and all of their beasties are out, I will throw this card down, and everything's getting 25 plus damage. So it's a great finishing card. Next up, which is the last of my neutral spells, Power Up Red. Another card every caster should have in their spellbook. This page will give your beastie 100 plus life points and 100 plus damage until it's knocked out, but it does lose invincibility. Pages that I like to use this on are usually, if I'm in a pickle again, I'll probably use this on a 1 aura cost page, a beastie I mean. You'll rarely see me use this on a beastie that already has invincibility, but again, it's a very good page, and I'll tell you guys which beasties I'd probably use this on. Moving on to the dark beasties of my spellbook. Starting off, we have Chibi Mothman. This is a card I'm considering taking out of my spellbook only because it hasn't really served much purpose. It hasn't been very useful in my most recent matches, but the reason I keep it is, one, it's a 1 aura cost dark beastie. I can use Sinister Shadows on this, and it's also invincible. So, you know, I could have a ton, I don't know how many exactly, but if I could use all 4 Sinister Shadows on this Chibi Mothman, I could have a ton of invincible Mothmen. I could be doing maybe 100 damage a turn, unstoppably. But, something about the Sinister Shadows, though, is that it can't target token beasties, so if I put this card down, and I Sinister Shadows it, it'll duplicate it. So there's my duplicate. I can't target this page. So if someone knocks out this Mothman somehow, I can't use Sinister Shadows on this, but if I use another Sinister Shadows here, it'll duplicate both of these pages, because this is considered a copy, an exact copy. I'll probably go in another in-depth video about Sinister Shadows. There's a lot of controversy on those spells, but trust me, I know how to use it. I've done a ton of research on it, and I'll probably do that in another video and explain a bit about it, maybe a short video. So going on, here. This is the god. Napa Rebobs. Another great card I use Sinister Shadows on. I've mapped it out with this card, and if I could use all 4 of my Sinister Shadows, you could theoretically do 8,000 damage in 1 turn. It's crazy how powerful Napa Rebobs can be with Sinister Shadows. It's like that card was made for Napa. But I'll show you the basics of Napa. He does Gut Dig, 25 damage. He is a flying beastie, so he can't be attacked by other non-flying beasties. But here's where we get really good. 10 plus damage at night. So at night, he gets 35 damage. Suburban area, always in a suburban area, at least for me. That's another 10 damage. He does 45 damage. If there is a banana within eyesight, and trust me, I am always making sure there's a banana in eyesight when I'm playing Metazoo. Double this page's attack against casters after modifiers. So this page does 90 damage. And you know what the best part is? You can have 6 Napa Rebobs in your spellbook. That's insane. Imagine using having all 6 of these out and using a Sinister Shadows. You would have 12. You would have 12 Napas, and you can keep going with the Sinister Shadows. It's unbeatable. You know what? Like, I used to hate the way this card looks, but it's really grown on me. It's really useful. One of my favorite cards because it's so good. Moving on. Vampire Marcy Brown. Now, you probably heard me calling her Marcy Brown in my last video. Guys, I'm a huge Adventure Time fan. Huge. And you can't tell me this doesn't just look like Marcy from Adventure Time. Marceline the Vampire Queen. It's like, her name's Marcy Brown. We're gonna call her Marcy forever. So, Marcy Brown, pretty good card. Terrible card during the day, because she actually loses. It's probably not going to show up, but there's a minus in front of that 20 right there. She loses 20 points during the day. She does 20 damage, so she does absolutely no damage during the daytime. But at night, she actually does 60 with 20 attack, plus 20 at night. And if the, let's read this here. This page's attacks deal 20 plus damage if you're wearing a vampire fangs or jewelry. I am always wearing a necklace. You will always see me wearing a necklace, so this page is always going to be doing 60 damage at night for me. She duplicates on her own. We don't need a Sinister Shadows. Can't even use Sinister Shadows because she's at 3 aura cost. But she duplicates, and that only works when you attack a BC, kill it. She'll duplicate and make a copy token that is, I believe, 30 life points and 20 damage. And she is a bloodsucker, so she will regain her health. Honestly, not very useful with having such low life points, but hey, it helps every now and then. And she's invisible, so she ignores defenders. She can't be physically attacked by other beasties. She can be attacked by spells, though, just not beasties. You can have 4 of these as spellbook. These have helped me in a lot of situations. Next up, these are the heavy hitters that I was telling you about before. This is why my deck is so huge, because I have a lot of cards in here that are very strong, very powerful, and we're going to get into them now. Hackler, great card. Honestly, every caster should have this in their spellbook. It has Fleet. This is one of the cards I was telling you guys that it has Fleet in my deck. It's a 4 aura cost, which is not bad. And you actually have the choice of making him a dark or light beastie. So if he's dark, he's going to gain 25 damage at night. And his attacks are going to do around 95, I think. If he's light, he's going to gain 25 life points, and he's going to, I think what does he do if this piece is light? And then the caster recovers 20 life points too, if he's light. I always go dark, never really need light, and I have another card in my spellbook that, if I use it, then I'm not allowed to contract light pages. Which card was that? I don't remember. It's something strong that I never need to worry about. But Hackler, a card everyone should have. He's also part of the series. He's Sam Sinclair's brother, I believe. So, you know, he's an interesting one. I've noticed that Sam Sinclair is a light caster based off of his card. We're gonna get Rose, who's the one of the third characters, who is a forest caster. But Hackler is, I'm assuming, I guess he's a dual typing caster, maybe. Because he's both light and dark on this card. Or maybe he's neutral? Or maybe he's lightning, because he's got a lot of lightning. I don't know, only time will tell. So, Hackler, kind of a mystery. Mothman. A lot of controversy on Mothman. Now, the controversy is, some people think that because there are so many different kinds of Mothman, here I'll show you from that first one I had. It says 1 per spellbook, so some people think like, oh, I can have both of these because they're completely different cards. In my personal opinion, no. You cannot have more than 1 Mothman. I believe that 1 per spellbook goes by the name, not the art or text. So I do not use this. I keep it in my spellbook just to, in my spellbook box, just to switch them out if I want to. But I always keep the promo Mothman. The reason I keep this one, though, is because, yeah, he does 50 damage, but he inflicts paralysis. He does 25 plus at night, and if you're in a city, he does 25 damage in addition to, but he also has Scare, Flight, like most Mothmen do. But while this page is in the arena, any beastie that is contracted by an opposing caster is inflicted with fear. That's insane. That's really good. And what makes it even better, his aura cost is only 3. And the only cost of having this Mothman compared to the other ones is that he has 10 less life points. That's nothing. That is fine with me. This is, in my opinion, the best Mothman out right now that you could be using. The original Mothman does 100 damage, but its text is like so weird, and I don't even, you have like a 1 out of 7 chance of maybe winning the game. It's like such a weird card that nobody ever really uses. The Nightfall Mothman's pretty good. It works very well with Injured Cold, but again, I like to go with the OG Promo Mothman, my favorite Mothman by far to use. Next up, we have got the Jersey Devil. This is a questionable card. Now, when you throw this out, you gotta do a blood-curdling scream. I'm not doing that. I'm always going to be losing 50 damage. If you don't do the scream, you lose 50 life points to yourself. So yeah, I use this as a last resort. And the reason I use this as a last resort is because you lose the 50 points, but he's like a better Mothman in my opinion. He gets 25 health points he gets 25 damage points at night, which is great. So he's already doing 75 damage. 25 more with a Forest Terra, so that's 100 right there. He inflicts paralysis, but while you contract Jersey Devil, you are dealt 50 damage. Oh, that's not what I want to read. Down here, reduce all damage Jersey Devil would take from attacks by other beasties to 0. He cannot be hit. That's great. So, yeah, he's more of a last resort for me. I don't want to lose that 50 life points, but I keep him. Moving on. Wendigo. Great card. Inflicts fear. Gains 10 life points every turn. Now, he basically has fleet in my opinion. So when this page flips a coin, you flip for scare, and if the result is tails, you may awaken the page and attack a pager caster. So yeah, you can either use scare, or he's automatically in. That's great. And if the attack destroys a target beastie, you get to inflict scare again. Wendigo is great. He also gains 20 life points. I keep mixing those up. 20 damage points at night. So he's doing 60. Wonderful card. So much fun to use. His life points do get in the way sometimes. He does get knocked out. I have a rival caster I battle against who uses a fire deck, and they always pumpkin bomb him every time. Green Goblin, my Wendigo all the way. So that's the only downfall with this card. Mocha Vampire. Not gonna lie, not the most useful card. It's very hard to use, but this is the other card that I was saying that has fleet. He has flight. He is a bloodsucker. He gains 20 life points at night, which is awesome because he's already at 60, so that gives him 80 life points. The Caribbean Claw does 40 damage, and this attack deals 10 plus damage for each beastie bloodsucker in your limbo. So if someone knocked out all 4 of my Marcy Brown somehow, this card's doing 80. This card's doing 80 damage. But yeah, great card, and his ability over here is destroy another beastie you control. All beastie bloodsuckers gain 20 life points and their attacks deal 20 plus damage. Again, that works for my Marcy Brown, so either way, having my Marcy Browns in or out will work if this card is played. 5 aura costs, kind of a lot, but again, worth it. Headless Horseman. So much fun to use. He is spirit, so he can't be attacked. He does have scare. 20 damage points at night, and 20 more in the forest. He has 50 damage. He has 100 life points. For someone with a spirit trait, he has 100 life points? That's insane. Can't pumpkin bomb that. Now, his attack is where it gets really, really fun and annoying to other casters. If this attack destroyed a beastie, place that beastie face up under this card. Now you're probably wondering, oh, okay, so what? Let me read you his arena text. This page cannot be declared as a defender. This page gains the names and effect text boxes of all face-up beasties under it. Are you kidding me? This card gains all of that. Now I did watch a video and I did do some research. Attacks count. He will gain attacks. So say I kill Mocha Vampire with Headless Horseman, put it under this Headless Horseman, he's going to be able to do decapitating revenge, and if he wants, he can do Caribbean Claw, and he can do this. It's all text. All text on the bottom of the card is what Headless Horseman will gain. That's amazing. And not only is it amazing, it is so much fun to see the fear in my opposing caster's eyes when I take one of their strongest beasties and I'm able to use its attacks now. It is so much fun. Next up, Indrid Cold. The big boss man, Indrid Cold. The only downfall of this card, in my opinion, is that he does not have any traits. Not invincibility, not flight for some... you can attack him, no matter what. He's got 80 life points. I feel like this card needs at least 100 life points. It's a great card. It costs 6 aura, but he gets targeted very fast. And the reason he gets targeted very fast is that when he's out on the field, all of your dark beasties gain invincibility. So obviously, you're going to want to go for Indrid Cold. I'm pretty positive Indrid Cold does not gain invincibility. It would be great if he did. If he does, let me know. I don't think he does, but every other dark beastie, imagine invincible Headless Horseman. Obviously, you would go for Indrid Cold. Now, when you contract him, you can place 2 dark beasties with aura costs of 2 or less from your limbo into the arena awakened. I don't have any beasties in my deck that are aura costs of 2, but I always contract 2 Napa Rebobs at least if they're in my limbo. And if I'm contracting 2 Napa Rebobs right off the bat, I'm going to Sinister Shadows them if I can, and I'm right back in the game. Like, Indrid Cold, perfect card. Great card for a dark deck. Everyone should have one. And Indrid's Gaze. If this attack targets a dark page, take control of that page until the page leaves the arena. I don't personally understand exactly how that works, but what we've been doing is, if I attack a dark page and it's still in the game, then I get control of it until the page leaves the arena. I usually let the caster control it when it's their turn, but when it's my turn, I take control of it whenever I need it. So, you know, I don't really fight against other dark casters that often, but if I do, Indrid Cold is very helpful. So let's move on to the final card of my spellbook. Grim Reaper. Now, Grimmy here is invincible. Not just because he has the invincibility trait, but if you put, somehow, if you get my Grim Reaper into my afterlife, or my limbo or cemetery, I'm allowed to just bring him right back into my hand. The only way to get Grim Reaper into the afterlife, limbo, or cemetery is actually, no. You'd have to have a spell. I was thinking maybe New Beginnings, but New Beginnings is just gonna put him back in my spellbook. Oh, but now that I'm thinking about it, Grim Reaper can't be affected by pages. That's the thing about this card. You may contract this page from your limbo, cemetery, or afterlife. This page can only be contracted with dark aura pages and cannot have its aura cost reduced. Which means 9 auras is what it costs. You can't use a blood ruby on this. It has to be 9 dark aura. And then the rest of the text says, this page cannot be affected by other pages. Now that I'm thinking about it, I thought maybe New Beginnings was the only way to get it out of someone's hand. But that's a page. New Beginnings is a page, and it's not affected by pages. So would you draw 7 or would you draw 6 cards? It's a very confusing card, but at the same time, from what we know about Grim Reaper, it is unstoppable. Now, this trait it's the only card I've seen with this trait right here. I forget what it's called, Executioner maybe? But basically what it means is if it attacks a beastie, it's an automatic kill. So say I have a Adam Hackler out with a power-up red on, doesn't matter, I kill it. It's done. It's over. If I use the end, the name kind of says it all. It's the end. Now, the end does 1 damage, which is, I guess they're trying to be funny there, but it'll kill. It will automatically kill. That's what that trait does. Now, the end, when you're attacking a caster, is much more fun. It is a much more terrifying card for the opposing caster. This attack ignores effect text boxes. If this attack damaged a caster, roll a dice. If the result is not a 1 or 6, the caster loses the game. You have a 2 out of 6 chance to stay in with Grim Reaper. You have a 4 out of 6 chance of completely losing the game if this card touches you. Now, this card is amazing, it sounds great. There are ways around it. Defending. If you can throw out as many beasties as you can and defend, this page can only attack one of those. Unless I have Awakening, and I can attack 2, but yeah. Defending is the best way to get away from Grim Reaper if he is out on the field. But yeah, that's it's a very powerful card. I would highly recommend it for any dark casters out there. It's very opinionated. This card is very opinionated. I think it's a must-have. Other people think it costs too much aura, but because I run such a big spell book with a lot of aura, I usually get around 9 aura costs out. But yeah, this is a great page to have and one of the strongest, and I featured it in my intro because it is also one of my favorite cards because it's so much fun to use, and it's honestly kind of fun to see the fear in my caster. It's fun to see the fear in my opposing caster's faces when I throw out Grimmy over here. So, that's it. That's my whole spellbook. That's going to be it for this video, my fellow casters. If you guys want to see me do any other videos, just comment on what you want to see. I'll go over what I can. I'd love to get some recommendations for things. I do have plans. I do have more videos coming out, but I think next week I'll drop something. And if someone wants to see something else next week, I'll make a video on it. I promise. But thanks for watching my video. This was my spellbook. This is how I run it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oscuro will be watching from the shadows.